Hi, this is Mrs. Ziegler, and I'm going to go over your car lab for the graphing. Okay, so this is information I went over in class. So if you were not in class, if you were absent, in the actual Schoology assignment, you can get the data. So in the data, you will see, which I will show you an example in a moment, but essentially in Schoology, you'll see the Excel that says sample data. There are actually three color codes. Those are three sets of data. Only use one, which I will show you an example. All right, so first thing is in your lab, if you were in class, you should have completed and collected data for 3 trials for the fast car and the slow car. If you did not, then you're really only going to use the data that you have. Okay, so from the data here, after averaging, which I will show you in a moment, okay, we are going to find this information to finish your lab. Okay, so I'm going to show you really quick. So looking here, so in the Schoology, you will see that you will have data that looks like this. Okay, so in Schoology, if you don't get the printed copy that you can get in class, you are going to be given this data. So you will take this data and transfer it onto your paper like this. Okay, so for those of you who need help with averaging, so to average, so we're going to average this, all you're going to do is you are going to add each of these. Okay, so I have each of these, and then you're going to divide by however many trials. So therefore, that's 3. So this average is 1.53 seconds. Okay, now if, for example, you only have 2 trials and you didn't get to do your third one, for this one, you're going to add these 2 up and then divide by 2. If, for example, you didn't have any of this data, then you're going to go into Schoology to get the data that is given to you in Schoology. Okay, and if you only have one set of data, so for example, if you just have this, then you don't have to average. You're just going to transfer all of this information down here. Okay, so now going back. All right, so now we are looking at this part of your graph, okay, of your paper. So the question asks, how long did it take for each car to go 2.5 meters? So speed is, again, how fast an object moves. It changes position over time. Okay, that's what speed is. How fast does it go? So from your data, you're going to take these 2 averages, these 2 time averages, and you're going to transfer them to here. Okay, so then let's look at the data I have here. Okay, so for those of you who need the visual, so see here, I'm going to average these 3. Okay, so then divide by 3. My average is 6.446. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to put it down here for the fast car. So that's 6.44 seconds. Okay, all right, so now we are going to solve for this. Okay, so again, looking over here, okay, speed is equal to distance over time. So the distance is 2.5 meters divided by my time. So if I go back to here, again, to solve for this, its speed is 2.5 meters divided by 6.446 meters. Okay, so again, in my calculator, it's 2.5 divided by 6.44. Okay, so as you can see, I have all these numbers. You're going to round to 2 decimals. So it'd be 0.388. So 8 rounds that up to 9. So it's going to be 0.39 and then meters per second. Do you see here how I have my units? You need to make sure that you are using your units and writing them down. If you start doing it now, then you will not forget whenever you are writing out numbers, because if you don't have units specifically on your test, you will get points taken off. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you're going to graph your data. Okay, so for some of you, Down here, if your slowest car is more than 15 seconds, so for example, I do know some people's cars were like 17, 18 seconds, that means that you are going to have to renumber the bottom of your time, okay? Just like we did last week. All right, so now what I'm going to show you is based off of the data that I have, I'm going to show you how you're going to graph. So if I'm using this data, so I'm going to plot the points of 0.5 meters at these 3 times. So here is my position. So at 0.5 is right here. Okay, then you have 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So if I'm plotting this, these are the 3 points I'm going to plot. So at 1.5, okay, so if we're using these increments here are by 0.2. So if it's 1.5, this is 1.24, so in between right here, so about right here. As long as you get it within where it's supposed to, about where it's supposed to be, you'll be fine. So my next point should be about the same spot, and again the next point. So essentially it's kind of like all in the same spot. Next one is 2.78. So they actually round up to 2.8. So from 1 meter, okay, it's around here, so it's about 2.8, so 2, 4, 6, 8. So around here, so these should be the points of where those 3 points are. Okay, next one is 1.5 is around 4 something, so it's close to 4. So it'd be around here. Okay, again, cluster the best you can. Then the next points here would be, again, looking here, the 2 would be around the 5.2. So that's about 5.2, which is around here. And then the last one is around 6 something. So it's around, we'll just say it's around here. Okay. So then you take your ruler and you do your best fit line between all 3 points. Okay. So again, you're going to try and get all 3 points or all the points that you can essentially around the, like a scatter plot, but these points are actually pretty good. So there's my best fit line for that one. Then you will do the same thing for these points. So again, using a different color, you will just plot your points. So for example, I'm not gonna use this data. I'm just gonna show you an example of if I were plotting points. So if, let's say for example, these are the points of my next, of the other car, okay? And as you could look here, you could see that these points are not very close. So again, you're going to do your best fit line between these points. Okay, trying to get as many of the points together as possible. So kind of, well, all right. Again, best fit line. Okay. Then once you have that plotted, you are going to answer the 4 questions in the back of the graph paper. Again, this is due next class, so essentially by Friday, if you can get this completed and turned in, but essentially you will use the graph in order to answer these 4 questions. And if you completed the notes that are in Schoology from the note slope and velocity notes and the graph of motion notes, those will also help you answer these questions. So before you complete these questions, I highly recommend that you get those notes completed, as for all the other classes, they were completed in class. If you have any questions, please make sure you reach out.